Well, hope you're not traveling to France anytime soon, because if you're there and you get that knock on the door, that might be the social media police coming to visit you. But before we start, thank you for tuning in to Man with the Show. I'm Zane. Thank you to you who have subscribed to this channel, liked and comment, supported us here on YouTube and also on BitChute. We here thank you very much, because it's very important. Censorship is out there, and basically they're trying to stifle what we say, the information we give you. It could be the littlest things: history, learning history, music, many different things, and they want to stifle this from you because it doesn't agree with their political narrative. And it's very important. I tell you every show, 4 words: subscribe, like, support, share. Very important on there. So, it's Thursday. You're relaxing back. It's almost the weekend. Actually, next weekend's going to be a long weekend. I didn't even realize it. 4th of July hits on a Thursday this year. So that means it's like 4-day weekend. And you know people are going to take advantage of that. But here's something important, and this goes for people, anybody traveling overseas. France somehow has convinced Facebook to hand over privacy data, information of people, so basically they can prosecute them for hate speech. How wrong is that? I mean, some days you got to say, thank God we live in the country we live in right now, because basically it's getting scary out there. And if you don't think that it's coming here, be weary. Look at what's going on this end with the all the information that we just received at Project Veritas about Google. Oh, and of course you can't watch it here because unfortunately YouTube has decided to block that video, that you're unable to see it because some third party making a claim of it, which basically, how do you claim news and undercover reporting of issues that are very important, that basically showing that there are those who are doing illegal things out there? I mean, you have situations where basically you have a company like Google that's manipulating your search results. Their other division, YouTube, is either taking videos off, blocking them, demonetizing them. I mean, it gets scary. And then here you hear, and this is not the first time, this has happened in Germany as well, is that now you can get arrested because of what you put on Facebook and Twitter in France, because the government, it's what they deem hate speech. You know, you go in and you tell them, and the thing is, you know, we got this from One Angry Gamer, but this is on the BBC News Network also. And basically what they supposedly claim is by the EU, illegal hate speech is defined by the European Commission as a public conduct that incites violence or hatred to groups of people defined by characteristics such as race, religion, and ethnic origin. Okay, say you're a sports fan, and let's give it an example overseas, that you're a soccer fan, you know, or football, as they would say over there, and you hate Manchester United, and you put on Facebook, you hate them, you just really hate them, you hate the British and Manchester United. Does that mean you get arrested for that? Just for saying that? Because you're a sports fan and you don't like the opposite team? You know, you might say to yourself, hey, Zane, that's getting a little crazy. You know, no, it's not. Because basically, this is some of the things you have to think of the perspective. You have somebody there deciding what is hate speech. See, in this country, the Supreme Court had ruled that there is no such thing as hate speech. The only way it's going to be something anywhere close if it incites violence, which is the major thing. If you go out there and you say you want to kill the president of the United States. You're inciting violence. They're going to come get you. You say you're going to bomb a particular place. They're going to come get you. But if you say, listen, I don't like the president. I don't like this particular building because of the people who work there. That's your opinion. You have an opinion. And basically what they're doing is they're taking away opinions that they deem that is not toward the political narrative. And basically, when you think about this, and you say, oh, what can they do? Can they really send the police on there? Well, this has happened in...
Yeah.
I'm Nick, I'm Nick Bush, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason we're here, it's basically down to the recent events in Christchurch with the shooting there, right? Based on that, sort of a number of people have been identified who we've been tasked to go and speak to. So you're one of those people. That's
Really?
why we're here. Yeah.
So what specifically
So that's
was
what
that?
I want to talk to you about, but I'm not really comfortable discussing this with you while I'm being filmed.
No, well, I think you should be because, you've come here on a Sunday morning.
Yes.
It's 9:45, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
And you come here onto my property and now you want to discuss something.
Yes.
So I think we need to get a record of this and make sure that whatever you're doing coming around here, and I notice you've got your gun on your hip there, and presume the lady here's also got a firearm.
No, she doesn't.
New Zealand, there was a guy that he put his 2 cents on Twitter and Facebook about the New Zealand murder, the Christchurch on there, and the government sent the police to this guy's home. It's the video's out there. It's on YouTube. And it's an amazing video. And the guy taped it because basically they came and the cops just refused to talk to him unless he turned off the camera. And he said, no, I'm not going to turn off the camera because basically, I don't know what you're going to do. And, they were there to tell him to stop. And there's been other situations where basically, I forgot what country it was, where a mother was arrested because she said a man is not a woman. This is not the same person that's suing Twitter right now. This is a mother of a family, and she was arrested for that. And that's crazy. When you hear stuff like this, you just want to say, my God, what is going on? I mean, this is scary in France. And see, this is where we have to be very, very vigilant and be very careful of what is happening around us. Because, you may say to yourself, well, this is not going to happen to me. Yes, it can happen to you. It really, truly do. If they come to this country and start passing those similar laws, when you hear... See, the thing about it is, they throw out scary words at you. Supremacy and hate speech and that group from Germany, you know who they are. We can't say the name. And see, that's the other thing. There are certain words I can't even say on Facebook. I can't say on YouTube because basically they'll shut me down for saying them. And that's ridiculous as well. You could sit there and say certain things, and if you have it monetized, and they demonetize you. And if you continue further, they'll shut you down. So you have to be vigilant. You, my viewers, and see, this is why we keep saying to this. Whether it's this channel or any other channel, whether you go to Tim Pool, Vincent James, Steven Crowder, or even the regular shows, Kitten Academy, Yellow Flash, that, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, or, like the video. And most important, take it and share it with people. Because, if you go out there, send it at least to 10 people. Have them see it. Say, hey, take a moment out of your time. Take 10, 15 minutes out of your busy schedule to watch this. because I think it's important. People push things aside, and, they're tamed at basically, when you're looking at the mainstream media, they're tagged by the titles and stuff like that. And that's where they grab you. And then you're like, oh my God, is this what's happening? That we're being taken over by supremacists and stuff like that. That the white nationals are coming after us, because, we're minorities and stuff. And you look at that and you have to say to yourself, no, they're doing this to scare you. Because that's what fascists did back in World War II. They tried to scare you. The communists tried to scare you. This is when they put you in the position. When you read Orwell, and this is all the games that they basically in 84 that they played with. They played on people's fears. What we're telling you is that, listen, this is the time to pay attention to what's going on, because the Constitution is being attacked. When shows, telling history, when you have a relaxation video music being pulled off, when you have news being suppressed because somebody doesn't agree with them, is ridiculous. And, the next story is going to be another thing that we're talking about. We have a case going on. We've talked about this many times before. This is the Vic Mignogna case. That is now being suppressed and demonetized on YouTube. When you have situations where somebody is trying to get his day in court, and there are those out there who want to get that information out there and tell you this is what's going on, but yet you have these social media platforms says, nah, we don't need you to know because we know he's guilty. We know 100% he's guilty. But see, there's a problem. Facts and evidence and innocent until proven guilty. And social media is not a courtroom. I'll say this one more time. Social media is not a courtroom. They are not a court of law. They're not there to say, hey, listen, just by me saying it is true. No. If you don't have the facts, you don't have the evidence, you're not going to win in a court of law. They're going to throw it out every time. Because basically, you're just saying something happens and you haven't reported it to the police or the authorities, anything of that nature. They're just going to say, we're taking your word versus their word. It's one person's word versus another person's word, no matter who it is. And you're seeing a lot of this mongering that's been thrown at people and accusations. And you're seeing a lot of them being thrown out of court, And, like, I'll give you an example. There was those two players, I forgot what school it was, and they were accused of rape because one particular girl was in love with another guy, and she wanted that guy to fall in love with her and feel sorry for her, that she got raped. I mean, she's getting, a year or two in jail, which she should have got a lot more than that. But see, these are the things that goes on. The mentality of some people out there that basically they said, well, it's just hugs. And I don't like how it felt, this, and that. And, after about a long time, basically, I changed my mind to the situation. And then the whole craziness about that new accuser accusing the President of the United States, that I think someone mentioned, it almost sounds like it was scripted from an episode of Law and Order, which basically they showed on there. They showed the exact episode. But nevertheless, when we look at this whole situation, we have to always be vigilant on what people are trying to tell us. That if we're being told one thing, we have to have both ends of the conversation. We have to have the left and the right and the truth down the center. That's what I'm saying. When you listen to us here on these channels on YouTube, take a look around. Take a moment to look it up. Because basically the information is there. It is out there. And if you take a moment and look at it, and you'll see that, we're telling you this is happening. And it's a scary point. Could you imagine if this happened in this country? How many fights have you seen where basically people have been trying to say, you can't have my IP address. It's, you can't have. And some of it has happened because basically you had some of the recording industry wanting the information for all these people that basically have downloaded on torrents, the records and stuff like that, and they've been fighting to get the information to sue them. And it is kind of crazy when you hear those situations. When you sign a privacy agreement, you kind of figured that when you click. Let me refresh myself. When you click on that privacy agreement, you kind of figure that that these companies will protect you. No, they're just making money off of your information, selling your information. They don't care. They don't care about that, and that's why a lot of these laws have to be changed, especially Section 230. Section 230 must be changed, rebuilt, and put these guys on notice that you can't do this. You can't sit there and give information out, number one, because basically people deem it, offensive or hate, against, what their values are. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Words can hurt, but you can't be thin-skinned about it. And, when you sit there and someone says one thing and you don't like it, don't read it. Turn away from it. Don't click on it. Howard Stern always says, if you don't like my programming, turn it off or turn to the next channel. And that's what the problem is. There are people who sit all day long. I don't do too much into Twitter, and my moderators, they're there, but the thing about it is, they don't spend too much time on there. And I tell them, don't spend too much time on these platforms, because basically I don't want people to start getting into these fights on there, and then suddenly it gets blown out of proportion. We can sit there and look up certain things if we like the article, or we like what somebody says or dislike. I thank people for whether they like my show or don't like the show, and they comment and they tell me, well, I don't like it. I don't like what you said. Fine, tell me why. Okay, that's your position, and here's mine. And that's a good conversation. But always remember, we have to have these conversations. And we have to be careful that we don't end up like these countries overseas. This is why the EU, that there are countries that they're trying to battle out, and you have Britain trying to get out of the EU, Italy, and you get other countries that they just don't believe in the values of the EU, because you have people that are just making up any kind of law that they want, try to censor what they have. They try to censor crimes. They try to censor what people are saying. If you don't like a movie, I like to say I don't like a movie. If I don't like a particular food or restaurant, I like to safely say that. Not to where the person flips out and they says, "Oh no, we can't have that. I want their name, their number, where they live, because I'm going to hurt them. I'm going to have them arrested. Put them in jail because they just didn't like my values." As silly as that sounds, that is what's happening these days. If you haven't realized with the Vic Mignogna case, take a peek at some of the Twitter. Go over to some of the people talking about the Vic Mignogna case, and you'll see some of the scary thoughts people have in there. Yesterday I posted about a YouTuber that passed away and that he had committed suicide. I had someone comment on there and laughing. My moderator told me, he says, that someone had the gall to laugh at someone's death. And it's a shame. I mean, the young man had, mental health problems, but somebody just sat there and typed in laughter. So you can see some of the mentality that some people have. And when you hear situations that people want to control, they want to control our elections, they want to control what we put up here, they want to control criticism for movies, sports, religion, and many other subjects. And you sit there and you have like media organizations that sit there and they just want to pound the same rhetoric day in, day out. Orange man bad. Need to get rid of Orange man so we are safe once again. Bad. That's like the boy who cried wolf. And, these people just really, really just need to change themselves out. I mean, they're sitting there and there are major things going on. We have a major crisis at our borders. We have a homeless population that is just increasing every day. Disease is increasing. There are diseases that we've gotten rid of in this country and is coming back, including the plague. And people say, well, no, that's not happening. No, there's a guy who got typhoid on the West Coast. When do you hear that in this country? With all of our medical science and everything like that, to hear a disease like that come back in full. And then, you have homelessness where somebody can't get a home because they refuse to make new housing because they just don't want too much buildings being built around them. And this is where freaking Silicon Valley is. And I'm talking about San Francisco. They said, oh, we just want to keep the buildings that we have, but we need more places for the homeless. But they don't want to build them. There are people who just want to go in there and buy property and build homes. And not big stuff, not skyscrapers or anything like that. Just like 4, 5 story, 6 story, apartments. And still they get refused by the city. I mean, how ridiculous is that? So comment below. Tell me how you feel. How do you feel about the Facebook handing over names and numbers of people that basically, if you say something wrong in France or even in Germany, that basically they could put you in social media jail. I mean, that is ridiculous. And of course, here on this network, you can find us on mindsandgab.com, which you can freely speak your piece. All I ask is just be civil on that. Even if you're angry, be civil about how you comment, because two-way conversation is very, very good to have. But when you become like those who are just completely, totally insane on Twitter and Facebook and every other site on there, you're never going to get a good conversation, and you're not going to learn anything about the other person. It's very good that we learn things about each other, because that's the problem. You want to get rid of the racism, have a civil conversation, and we'll be able to get rid of it because we'll learn more and more about each other. When you start to block that, guess what? We ain't learning anything. So, subscribe, like, support, share. We'll be back with another episode in just a moment. Have a good evening.